Hey everybody, Ronnie here. Thanks for stopping by the channel. You know, a few weeks ago I built this entry table, and since then we've gotten some positive feedback on the color of it, and it's a great gray distressed color. But what's even greater is I did this in 3 easy steps, and I filmed it yesterday, and I thought it'd be a good video to show you. So if you're interested, stick around and I'll show you how I achieved this color. Okay, now that we're out here in the shop, I'm going to show you my 3-step process on how I weather my wood to make it look that weathered gray look. Now I use a 3-step process. I start out with a whitewash, and now this is just white paint, equal parts of white paint and water, 1-to-1 ratio. Then I move, once that's dry, 1 coat, I move to a brown wash, and this is a brown paint I had, same 1-to-1 ratio, paint to water. And then I use this Varathane wood stain. It's the weathered gray. So the first process, now I have 3 pieces of wood here. These 2, I'm going to go through the process that I did on the entry table, but with an addition that I haven't even tried yet. And that's going to be on one of these. I'm going to, and at the end I'll show you, I'm going to try something that I haven't tried before just to see if I can improve on it. And that's one other thing I'd like to bring up is experiment. Don't be afraid to experiment with different colors, different combinations, maybe different ways to scrape the wood or to sand it. Come up with your own unique way of coloring your wood, whether it's a gray stain or any other kind of stain. And the other thing I'd like to say is if you've already come up with something, please leave them in the comments, because I'm always wanting to learn new things and how to do new things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put the white wash on these 2, then the brown wash, and then the gray. This one over here, I'm just going to use the gray stain so I can show you the difference between the 3-step process and then just using the gray stain. So let me put the white wash on now. Okay, I'm going to let these 2 dry, and then I'll come back and we'll put on the brown wash. But while they're starting to dry, I'm going to go ahead and put the gray stain on 1 coat. I might try 2 coats. We'll see. We'll see how it looks after 1 coat. So the gray stain goes on this piece. Okay, now let's hurry up and wait. We'll get them to dry, and then I'll be back and we'll go on to the next step. Okay, it's been about 45 minutes, 50 minutes or so. These are pretty much dry right now. So now we're going to move on to the next step, and that's the brown wash on these 2. Okay, I've put the coat of brown wash on these 2. I'll show you what this looks like. We'll try to get a close-up up here. This is the 1 coat of gray stain. I'm going to go ahead and put another coat on, but I'm going to rub it on with a cloth like I do the final version. So I'll be right back with a cloth. All right, so I got me a cloth. I'm going to put on 1 more coat of gray on this, and it doesn't really look like it's making much of a difference compared to the first coat. But with just this gray stain, and some of you might like this, but you know, you can see some of the brown grain coming through. And when we get back to doing these brown ones, once this dries, I think you're going to see a big difference with the gray stain on top of those as opposed to this one. So we're going to let these dry, maybe 45 minutes, an hour again, and we'll be back and put the gray stain on these. We'll see you in a bit. All right, I'm back again. The brown has dried. The second coat of gray has dried. So I want to bring you in on a closer shot and give you a look at these. You can see that the gray stain, it's got that brown from the wood grain showing through. That's with 2 coats of gray. And the brown, look at the brown. Look at the brown pieces. Those are beautiful. And I think you're going to see when we put the gray onto these, it's really going to show a difference. So let's get on to the next step, and that is putting the gray stain on these 2 pieces of brown wood. Okay, so the final process is finished. I've got the gray, 2 coats of the gray stain on this one, just the gray. I've got the whitewash, the brown wash, and the gray stain on these 2. So I'm going to let these dry, and we'll come back and show you what they look like. And now remember, this one, I'm going to add another step to it that I haven't tried before, and we're going to see how that turns out. So I'll show you what it looks like when it's dry up to this point, like I did on the entry table. We'll be back in a little bit. Okay, I'm back. These are all fairly dry. I really like the color of this. I'll give you a close-up shot of these compared to just the gray one. But now for the experiment I was going to try, and that's dry brushing some white lines and some brown lines really lightly on here, and see what that does to the finish here. So I'm going to go very lightly. That might be a little too much. Just some random white lines. I'm going to try to see what it looks like wiping it off with the paper towel. Well, it's interesting. It gives it a lighter gray color. Let me try some brown. Really light on the tips. Try wiping that off a little bit. Again, this is all on the fly. I haven't done this before with it, but you don't know till you try. That's giving it an interesting texture. That's kind of neat. I'll get a close-up shot of that at the end here, but it's interesting. That could be something I try. I like that. So let me move the cameras in and I'll give you a closer shot of the final product. Well, let me know in the comments below what you prefer. Do you like the board with just the gray stain on it? Or the original one that I had done, the entry table, with the white, brown wash and then the gray stain? Or the new experiment I tried with putting the brown and white lines lightly with the brush, dry brushing it, and then wiping with paper towel and smoothing in. I kind of like this look. I might have to try that on a future project. And one more tip I've got for you. So I applied the white and brown wash on my entryway table with this brush, fairly wide brush. So what I did is I got a plastic jug, just cut a hole out of it, and then I put my wash in there. Easy to get the brush in, pull it out. You can dump it out and rinse it out and go for the next wash. Makes it real convenient. Appreciate you stopping by. Why don't you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell So you'll know when I come out with my next project, whatever that may be. Thanks for stopping by.